to Hey China from the Louvre Museum in Paris today. We have a very exciting guest joining us from Shenzhen, China, and he is Greg Turner. Welcome on Hey China, Greg.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great to be here. It's you're in the better location than I am, but it's great to be talking with you.
Yes, and you know what? Mona Lisa is still smiling. She has not lost her smile in the whole pandemic. She's still there, hanging in there, and hopefully, you know, many more people can visit the Louvre Museum again as well. But the events industry is definitely down. Tourism, hospitality, and so on. And this is the sector where you're working in as well, Greg. So tell us how difficult the situation is for you at the moment.
Well, you know, on a global scale, it's really quite bad. We're constantly getting messages of this company laying people off and that company furloughing more people, and it just seems to be really quite rough for everybody right now. But here in China, I think that we've kind of crested, and we're turning back up a little bit. You know, there's starting to be more. The government's starting to release more and more policies, basically allowing event organizers to welcome more people back to what they're doing, whether it's sports or if it's entertainment. And where we started with 30%, we're now up to 50% capacity, and hopefully soon, if things keep going in the right way, we'll have a fully operating industry in a few months.
How much has it recovered so far? What would be your assessment in China?
Domestically, I'd say it's pretty, other than the attendance at 50%, domestically, things are well back on their feet. But obviously with the borders closed here in China for any international travel, the international side of the business is still very much frozen.
The Walt Disney Shanghai, for example, has reopened with all the safety measures in place, but a lot of events like Beijing 2022, the Winter Olympics, and so on, I mean, these are going to kick off really soon. Are you optimistic that they can take place?
For the Olympics, absolutely, because the government's already come out and said that, you know, international events are canceled till next year, except for test events for the Olympics. So say, for example, there's a figure skating event in November that they're going to be testing out a new venue and just testing out all of the scoring systems and everything else. So that event's still on. It's not decided if people will be able to attend yet or how many people will be able to attend, but the event itself is going to go ahead, and all the preparation work needed to get everything ready is going ahead full steam.
So last year, there was a major NBA saga over there. So how is NBA China today?
NBA China right now
in the stadium now.
Yeah, I mean they were hot. They were the hot news up until about January this year, when everything kind of fell apart. But you know, they've invested a lot in developing China. They've got a lot of programs that are built here in China and run together with the government in partnership. So they're not going away. You know, it's like a fight within a family in some ways. You know, obviously, it's some different relationship dynamics, but with time, everything will be fine for the NBA.
You have been in China for about 20 years now, right, Greg? Since the year 2000. So you've really seen the sports industry in China booming. You've been developing a lot of stadiums together with the Chinese government, I guess, and the local governments in the provinces too. So how have you seen this development, and where do you see some, you know, international investor opportunities maybe as well, given, you know, the difficult situation we are facing at the moment?
Right. That's a really timely question, actually. So on the sports side of live events, it's always very government driven. Historically, the government's really used it to help promote their policies and nationalism and make sure that Chinese people are proud of China. But they're kind of realizing the limitations on that. So the recent policies that have been coming out really focus on trying to create opportunities for more private investment and more private company leadership, where the government kind of sets the rules and says, okay, you're going to operate within this, but if you can do that, we'll let you guys go ahead and make it done. And that's happened already with a whole bunch of different industries. The sports industry and the entertainment industry have been a little bit slower, but we're really seeing steps for that right now. There's, you know, investment into infrastructure, like you mentioned, the venues. There's a big opportunity, I think, in the coming years for venues. And then also you can see the privatization of the CBA, the China Basketball Association, and also some of the work they're doing to try and clean up the China Super League, the Football League. So there's a lot of really interesting stuff going on right now that I think that actually this pandemic is probably helping to amplify, because as the doors are closed to international events, it's putting more focus on what's going on domestically. So that means that there's more emphasis, there's more opportunities, and there's more development happening faster.
And probably esports as well, and video gaming, which is also, I believe, already considered an Olympic game, right? By
Not
the
an Olympic
OIC,
game.
or not yet?
Not an Olympic game, but it was in the most recent Asian Games. So the Asian Games, it was considered a true event. And China's really is leading the way with esports. Their universities across the country are introducing esports degrees. There's training centers opening up all over the place. There's competition venues opening up all over the place. So esports, it really fits quite well too with all the digitalization that we see in China. Everything is going online. Everything is being driven through your phone and stuff like that. So it fits really well, and we're seeing the investment to support that.
So how do you compete with the online space in the physical space going forward?
I think that's another really great question, especially right now with the pandemic, because it's forced a lot of event organizers or those involved with live events to reconsider the way that they do things, where before they were just focused on getting people into the seats and maybe a few television cameras into the arena as well. But now with nobody allowed in the seats, they have to refocus on how can they deliver a better experience online. So if it's a music concert, how can you make it? You can't have a room full of 6,000 people watching somebody singing on stage, but how can you deliver that same kind of emotion to somebody at home? And I think there's a lot of focus right now on trying to create those opportunities. I'm not sure what the final result's going to be. There's still a lot of, let's say, pans on the fire, but we'll see probably within the next few months how it's all going to work out.
The only problem is that people would not move from their couches, right, with esports, and basically just staying at home or, with friends together from another location. But given that China is facing such high obesity rates, according to the WHO, that is kind of going to be a problem maybe as well. What do you think about sports and obesity, this issue?
Yeah, I think that's probably not their number one concern. I think that because they're working, it's two different bureaus within the government that's dealing with this. So the one that's focused on making esports happen is one bureau. The one that's trying to fight the obesity and get the kids out running is a different bureau. And they're probably not talking, they're not communicating so well right now. So that will probably be, give it 5 years, that'll be an opportunity for somebody to come in and make some money off of.
In the general trends, do you see a bigger rise in sports industry or entertainment?
I think that the sports industry is probably a more clear path, but I think entertainment has more potential. Because sports in general in China isn't really, it's not like what we're used to in the West, where you grow up and you're playing sports on the weekends and on the evenings, and your favorite class in school is PE, and it's always on TV and everything else. Where China, I think from what I've experienced, when kids are very young, they play a lot of sports, and then as school gets more important and they start heading towards the Gaoke, school sports take less and less priority in their life. And then, so it's in that critical period of maybe 12 to 18 where their sports have just basically disappeared from their lives. And then when they get to university, they can start spending more time getting back involved with it, starting playing basketball with their friends more and more, maybe play on a varsity team at school, something like that. But but basically what that means is that you don't have the same real deep-seated passion for sports in a lot of people that you do in the West. They're still here, but they aren't as widespread as what we have in the West.
This is very interesting. So what would be the number one, I guess NBA, if I may guess, but what about number three, top three?
Yeah, basketball and football are definitely number one and number two. And so with football, I mean soccer.
I'm Swiss, Greg. What about the ski industry and snowboarding and figure skating and so on? I guess with the Winter Olympics, that is going to be, top sports as well, and figuring really high into scoring, right?
You two ladies, or your questions are just all spot on. It's really quite impressive. Everything is just right on the where things are trending. The government's came out with a new policy to support winter sports as part of the emphasis on the Winter Olympics, and they're pushing right now to have 300 million people participating in winter sports by 2025. So if you take that and you look at that for any other country in the world, it's a market, it's a size of a market that's never been seen before. You're starting to see it already sometimes with skiing. The ski industry development, the ski hills that are getting built up in northern China and in the west, in Xinjiang and stuff. There's investment going on there. You've got some indoor ski hills getting built. The two biggest indoor ski hills in the world are in here in China. And then if you go to Japan in the wintertime, it's, I've been going there snowboarding now for 6 years. When I first got there, there's no Chinese tourists. Now, if you go there during the school break, it's just packed full of Chinese tourists. So again, you can see that shift very quickly from nothing to full on, and only, in a way that only China can deliver.
And we just need less global warming, less climate change, because a lot of the snow is artificial and not natural. So we need more powder snow, right?
Yeah,
for
in
really
China,
good,
that's a big
excellent
problem.
Ski and snowboard quality.
All the most easy to reach ski hills are all right beside the desert. So snow is a little bit of a problem for them sometimes.
So in China, of course, many years ago, I think it's got to be like almost 20 years now, China started this whole city out of nowhere, Kabul, and China started to build a international conference to rival up to Davos. And I suppose associated with the events industry, especially international events industry, many cities, provinces, they are building infrastructures to entertain themselves and position themselves as the leading center for global conferences. What cities are on Chinese horizon currently that you see that really puts China on the international conference map?
Conference map. So I'm not
in general.
Right. I'm not so much of a MICE expert, so I can't comment too much with that with much authority. But I can say that right now that Hainan is a really interesting place to be looking for tourism in general. The free trade zone they're setting up there, the whole island turning into a free trade zone. They've got a very detailed plan of how they're going to basically slice the island up to different sections. You mentioned the China version of Davos, which is in Boa in Hainan. I think that's the one you're talking about. And they're going to turn that whole region into a MICE center. And every industry, every different bureau that you read for the government, their plan for Hainan includes creating a conference center around that area to try and drive more international conferences to and more exhibitions to. So I think that's really interesting.
Well, Greg.
What's that?
Great expert on China. You really read Chinese documents well.
Thank you.
We just need the pandemic to be over, and
Yes.
that would be a great boom, for the domestic travel industry, and of course for the real estate sector as well, right? Which has been suffering quite a lot in recent years, has been red hot as well.
Yeah, I think it needs a little bit of a cooling off, though. It's getting a little bit too hot, especially in the first-tier cities.
Especially in Shenzhen, where you are.
Shenzhen is
talking
crazy.
about Shenzhen, are you on 5G, Greg? I'm just going to this. Are you on
Sorry,
5G?
I didn't quite catch that one. I didn't quite catch the question.
You are living in Shenzhen. I'm just curious. Are you on 5G currently?
Not yet. I'm still using an iPhone. So I've got to wait for Apple to release their new 5G phone.
Oh, yes, of course. What about at home?
At home, I am just on the standard Wi-Fi from China Telecom. So nothing too special. Yeah.
Amazing, but it's just a matter of time, right? And I'm here in downtown Paris, Greg and Shirley, and still on 3G. I have difficulties paying with my credit card, which is a MasterCard. They still want cash in taxis and in restaurants. I mean, it's like we're living in a weird world right now.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you so much, Martina, for doing this on your 3G outside of the Louvre. Thank you so much.
I'm trying to find stable Wi-Fi connection here, but it's really the bare minimum.
It's amazing that we can do this, though. It's just even on 3G, and we're still getting it done. And you're outside the loop.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Greg.
My pleasure. My pleasure. It's been a great talk.
It's been wonderful. Good luck with your industry as well. And welcome to Hey China. Please subscribe to Hey China from all our social media.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.